Welcome back to the Mauldin High School Broadcast Network. We're here for episode 2 of Garage Talks today. We're talking a little bit of high school football, a little bit of college football, and overall ready for a good time. So here we go. We'll kick it off right off the bat with a little bit of last week's game. So, like we said earlier, last time we previewed last week's game that was against Greer. We ended up playing that game at home last Friday, filming this today on Wednesday. We ended up losing that game with final score 40-3 in favor of the Yellow Jackets. Tough game for the Mavericks overall. It's just they dropped to 1-2 on the season, and actually tomorrow, due to the hurricane coming, tomorrow on Thursday will be the Mauldin versus Gaffney game, the first game in region. So that's just going to kick it off right off the bat. Really tough. It's going to be crazy. Should be raining. Really will change up the game. But we'll talk about that a little later. Talk a bit about last week. So Mavericks, they knew they were going to go against a really high-powered offense, one that could make some big plays, but I didn't expect that much from the passing game.
Well, passing game in terms of Mauldin or in terms of...
In Greer, for sure.
I definitely can agree with that. But when you look at what this offense did, the only wide receiver that really had an impact was Martin. Everybody else was locked down. Martin was the only one that was breaking free from our secondary, and he had the two long touchdown plays where he would run downfield and either get lost in traffic or he would just burn his defender, and he was just wide open, and Houston was able to just dump it over the top for a touchdown. And I think that's where we see where our secondary, that's where one of the places that they failed to pick him up, and I think that's one of the things that they need to worry about and focus on getting ready for tomorrow.
For sure, but I think the biggest thing is the different ways they used him. They almost used because Braxton Collins, like we mentioned last time, 3-star wide receiver, and then they have the 2-star quarterback. It seemed like, if they're going to throw the ball, that's who they're going to go to. Yeah. They have a really tall, really fast wide receiver in Braxton Collins, but they ended up, like you said, they went to Martin a whole lot in that game, and they moved him around a whole lot. You saw him in the slot, you saw him on the outside. He was called in motion a whole lot. One of the touchdowns was actually called in motion, and just nobody picked him up. And I think his biggest thing was the ability to extend plays, because when you have a quarterback that can, usually a quarterback would have 2 seconds, 3 seconds back in the pocket, but Trey Houston finds a way to extend his time, gives himself a little more time, and Martin just seems like the perfect receiver for that because he didn't give up on his route. If he would have a simple slant over the middle, if he already ran his route, he'd keep going, or he'd hop into another route, go downfield more. He was always aware of what was going on behind the line of scrimmage with Trey Houston. They just seem to have a good connection.
I definitely agree with you, but not to take away from their rushing game. Collins, I would say Collins had a very, very impressive game.
Williams ran the ball really well. Collins, wide receiver, 5. Dre Williams had a solid game. The biggest thing is he was averaging over 100 yards a game, and he came in, he had a solid game against us. We don't have the exact stats, but he really didn't go that over the top, especially in the beginning of the game. He broke out maybe a few of those 10, 15-yard runs, and you could just see his explosiveness.
Yeah, you can definitely see his explosiveness in Williams. But he was, when you look and you see him run, how determined he is to get downfield and how determined he is to move the ball and get the first down, I think that's where he came into play. And Houston, too. Houston definitely had a big impact on extending plays downfield, scrambling, getting out of the pocket, using his feet. But I think with the duo of those two, with Williams, with Houston, and then with having Martin, his speed, being able to get downfield, there wasn't much that Mauldin was able to do to stop him.
Well, you almost have to choose what you're going to stop, and you have to choose it. Okay, we're just gonna have to let this happen, because you almost have to admit that you can't guard everything. I think Martin was definitely the sleeper guy. I think the defensive front seven was really prepared for what Williams was going to do, especially early in that game. And then I think as it moved on, and you saw Trey Houston started to run the ball on his own, scrambling and on designed runs, they opened up their offense a bit more as the game went on. And I think the biggest thing is just it was a lot of things combined. They had some great field position. Overall, Greer played an outstanding game. We can't lie, but I think I know 40 points sounds like a lot, but I think our defense, they really didn't look that bad, all things considered.
And when we talk about Houston, how dynamic he was, both in running and passing, one of the things moving forward onto next week is we're facing a young quarterback, Andre Lindsay, and he's more one-dimensional than Houston was in the fact that he hasn't shown what he can do running the football. All of their games have been blowouts, but we haven't seen him show off running the ball. So that makes me believe he's going to be more one-dimensional. He's going to be more of a sit back in the pocket and try to throw the ball. So that takes away that threat from our defense to have to focus on that.
Well, it seems like you mentioned earlier off air, you mentioned that they run a 2 running back system, and similar to how Mauldin runs against some Brandon King and with Raekwon Fenderson. I think we're going to see a whole lot of running the ball, and that's going to be the biggest thing. And especially with the rain that's supposed to come tomorrow, that just completely changes the game. You cannot. I know it affects every game, NFL, college, and high school, but the younger you are, the more inexperience you have, the rain affects you that little bit extra. Because especially one thing I'm really watching for is we mentioned last time we were broadcasting, Joe Owens had a huge fumble where he didn't have great ball security. You can't do that in the rain.
Oh no.
You need 2 hands on the football at all times.
I definitely agree with you on that. If you don't work on that ball security, especially in this type of situation where we are going to have the wet conditions, it almost makes you want him to be a lot more conservative with the football, maybe not even go downfield as much, because that's one of the places where he has one fumble downfield, another fumble, I believe it was in the backfield.
Yeah.
But still, you want him to play more conservative, get the football out faster, and throw it away if you have to.
I think his biggest thing is, almost you're saying, he just needs to relax.
He does.
He has the talent to really do some big things for this Mauldin team, and I just can't wait. I'm just waiting for that game. You never know. It really could be this Gaffney game where he just explodes and has himself a game. So his stats for last week, he had 9 completions for 46 yards, and he had no touchdowns and a pick. You look at the average, just 5 yards per completion. A lot of screens we saw. They tried to throw a lot of different things at Greer, and I credit that to a lot of it. Our dual running backs, Jason Brandon King had 49 yards. Raekwon Fenderson had 29 in 4 less carries. And Mavericks did not reach the end zone. The big play of the day, though, was undoubtedly, 2 things, really. Ben Doherty's 40-yard field goal was huge, but I'd have to go with Brandon Killo's huge kick return all the way back to, I believe it was the 19-yard line in Greer territory. I think that was huge, just changing the game.
It was great, but when you saw Mauldin get down, Mauldin was in the red zone at least 3 times, and the only thing that they came away with it all 3 times is the 1 field goal. Don't get me wrong, that 1 field goal was incredible. Ben Doherty for 40 yards, career long right there. But you have to finish in those type of plays, especially playing the caliber team that is Greer. I believe they were 7th in the state when we played them.
I was going to say that, and Gaffney that we're going to play, and Burns, and a whole lot of tough games.
That's very true, because I think Greer really should have been to prepare us for these games that we're playing against Gaffney, against Burns, against Gorman, to try and help us see what it's like to play against one of those top 10 teams in the state, because we do play a lot of them, and with the new region. But to not finish in the red zone after being there so many times, I think that's what's concerning to me, and that's what needs to be improved in order to look better and win more games in the future.
I was going to say, the biggest thing, that was definitely the biggest takeaway, just because they moved the ball pretty well. They didn't fly down the field with the big plays or anything, but you know how Mauldin plays the game. They get those 5-yard runs from Jason and Raekwon, and I think that's what they just embraced, that role of we're going to run the football, we're going to pound it, and we're going to want it more than you. And I think we did solid with that, but it's just, like you said, finishing drives is going to be one of the big things that we're going to keep an eye on. So we'll put that one in the past, and we'll take a little bit of break from high school football, turn to college football. We'll finish up at the end of the show. We'll talk about our matchup with Gaffney, but for now we'll talk last week, a couple of huge games in college football, the biggest ones were actually both in the state of South Carolina. Of course, Clemson was on the road to play Texas A&M, and South Carolina was hosting Georgia. Talk about that South Carolina game first. I think the biggest thing in that game is they had the crowd really behind them, really amped out. Everyone who was anyone was in Columbia at that time, and it's just the biggest thing was the early pick six. I think really hurt them, but it was around that third quarter because they really were in the football game for a long time.
Yeah, South Carolina would. I think Georgia definitely had the momentum throughout the entirety of the game. They came out first 3 minutes of the game, they were up 14-0. They definitely had the momentum going in. Don't get me wrong, South Carolina didn't go away until later in the game.
That was the thing I was most impressed about. Like you said, it was 14-0.
Yeah.
This very well could have been 60-7 or something really bad, but they really turned it around, got it to a real ball game at halftime. And in the third quarter, the Georgia offense just started to explode, and South Carolina they couldn't keep up. But I think they're going to take some steps up, though. They're still a very solid football team. That's a very good Georgia team. Now we'll talk quick about the Clemson game. And of course, both of us are Clemson fans. That was really, really stressful. We were actually texting each other back and forth and calling each other. It was mental, just how back and forth it was. And the biggest thing was it was the complete opposite. I was just waiting for Clemson to have that drive where they almost just put them away. Because they got into that 2-score game, and I was like, oh, we'll make it 3, then we'll make it 4, and it'll just slowly work its way out. And actually, last week I said that I thought that this game would be close, but I didn't think it'd be that close.
I definitely didn't think it would be that close either. We were talking down to the last minute, and I mean the thing with that is that Texas A&M's defense in the fourth quarter, they were hot. They were hot getting stops and containing Kelly Bryant, and I think part of why they came back and why one of the things that I found wrong is coaching wise, ETN only had one touch in the fourth.
We talked about it, of course, off air, but we talked about it. It's just I didn't like some of the play calls. I feel like they almost called when Trevor was out there. I really don't have a preference, honestly. I really wanted Trevor to do really big things, but what Kelly's done has really kind of changed my mind, and I really don't care who's out there. But I think when they had Trevor out there, he's not the same quarterback as Kelly. You can't be calling simple screen plays and simple read options because you're not as scared of the legs of Trevor Lawrence as you are of Kelly Bryant. And I think they didn't embrace that enough. You got to work downfield. First play of the game, I love it. They call a throw it up ball against T. Higgins. Yeah, first play, Trevor's out there, tosses a touchdown. And I think, you don't want to throw it up in coverage every single play, but you gotta test it downfield because that's what Trevor is really good at. And I can't wait to see the quarterback competition keep going. So for next week, we'll just start with Clemson. They have we'll just say they got Georgia Southern. It's a bit of a cupcake, but we gotta see if that game's gonna be played. Of course, we're in the middle of Hurricane Florence. Is actually on its way right now. It's supposed to hit in the Greenville area where we're located, Greenville, Mauldin. Well, where it's supposed to hit, I believe, Sunday. It's projected to hit, but it's moving around. We don't know yet.
All the wind and everything is supposed to come Saturday, Sunday. They said most of the powerful winds are going to get here Friday, so that's why all of our games were moved from Friday to Thursday to avoid these winds. Greenville County has the rule of 30 mile per hour winds, and you have to be off the roads. So I think that's one of the things that they were really trying to avoid. But I think it's a safe move, safe call. Definitely the right decision.
I was going to say, I think you just don't want to risk anything in these situations. I think you give it. We were talking about field condition. We're going to a great stadium in the reservation. We'll talk about that in a minute too. But I think you just overall safety of players. It's just that little more dangerous in the rain. And I can't imagine you have a pure slick field that had been because we got rain yesterday on Tuesday, and then I think we're supposed to get rain a little bit today too, and then to get rain tomorrow, and then to be playing in the rain on Friday. I think it'll be really rough for everybody. And I think that's definitely going to play a factor in those games. But like we said, a couple games were actually already canceled. We'll look at those real fast. UCF in North Carolina was canceled. West Virginia at NC State was canceled. East Carolina at Virginia Tech was canceled. They're the only ones so far in the top 25 to have canceled. I'm thinking Clemson and South Carolina also both going to
I definitely agree with you. I think that's going to happen. But, I mean, there's still a lot of college football we play. We're talking about LSU, Auburn, one of the big games.
I don't know how game day is not
Is it Ohio State, TCU?
Ohio State, TCU.
Ohio State, TCU.
And yes, that's a good matchup, but I think it's just that extra added bonus because it's going to be at Auburn, and that's going to be a crazy atmosphere while TCU is playing Ohio State at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, where it's going to be a whole lot of TCU fans, and Ohio State's going to show up. It's just not the college campus feel, but it'll be cool no matter what. So we'll do our quick picks here. So we'll go LSU, Auburn to kick it off.
I'm going with Auburn. They looked really strong a couple weeks ago against Washington. I think they're definitely going to win this game. Jarrett Stidham, a great quarterback, amazing arm. I think he's definitely going to come out and do some really big things. Against LSU, that's where I think this game's going. I pick Auburn in that game. I'll go 24-14. Low scoring game.
We got a first one. We're not going to say. I'm actually going LSU. I think this is going to be their statement win because when you look at the SEC West, the fact that LSU is going to have to, and Auburn will too, but they're going to have to play. They play each other, and they're each going to have to play Alabama. They're each going to have to play Mississippi State. I know Auburn plays Georgia. I can't remember if LSU does so. But they have such a tough schedule. I think this is going to be a huge statement win for LSU, and that'll give them a huge boost. I think the SEC West is going to be really interesting to watch the entire season. I'm going to go LSU. I'm going to stick 27-20. I think it's definitely going to be close, but I think at the end of the day, new quarterback in LSU, Auburn really doesn't know what to expect too much. So here, we'll have another ranked matchup. This one in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Boise State, the power of the non-Power 5, playing Oklahoma State. Gonna be a really interesting one. I'll go first. I think Boise State's for real this year, but I don't think they're that for real. And I think Oklahoma State, yes, they lost Mason Rudolph, but I think at the end of the day, I think they come out and they just play a better game. Plain and simple, I think they win this one by 2-3 touchdowns. I think maybe 45 to 30, 45-30. We'll go 2 touchdowns.
I definitely agree with you in the fact that it's going to be a high-scoring game. But, I mean, what to expect, I'm not very sure. You know, they both really haven't had the opponents where you can go and you can put a label on them. I mean, Oklahoma State, they're averaging 56 points per game. That's definitely not Big 12 numbers. In my books Big 12, no offense, or no defense, all offense. But, I mean, that's definitely not what I would expect. But I definitely think I agree with you in the fact that Oklahoma State's going to pull out with this football game. And at the end of the day, they're the Power 5 team Boise State isn't.
I think we're looking at the end of their schedule. These are the last 3 games at Oklahoma versus West Virginia at home, and then at TCU. I think it's more of a needed win than it is a wanted win for them. I think they need to keep Boise State. They need a good resume builder for them because let's just be honest, it's hard to win all 3 of those games, and I don't know if they will, and I think they gotta realize that going in. So we'll have to pick of course, game day. I'm not a big fan of where it is. I'm more of a fan of. We'll do that one. We'll do that one next. We'll do this one quick. Alabama and Ole Miss. I know people at both. I'm actually looking at applying to Alabama. I've already applied to Alabama. I might apply to Ole Miss actually as well. But I think the biggest thing in this game is Ole Miss really believes they're going to win this football game. They have no doubt in their minds that they're going to win this football game. And I honestly think they have a bit more than they could chew. And I think early on, I think both offenses are going to be flying back and forth. But then I think at the end of the day, it's Alabama.
I definitely agree. I mean, that's not even a question. You know, you said Ole Miss thinks they're going to win that football game. General Man thought they were going to beat Mauldin and end up losing 51. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you can think you're going to win all you want, but Alabama is just a force to be reckoned with. There's no way you're going to come into there's no way you're going to play Nick Saban. Come out as an unranked Ole Miss. That's just
okay. So here we go. The final game we'll pick. We'll go number 4 Ohio State, number 15 TCU. Huge game. Like I said, it's going to play in Arlington, so huge TCU presence there. Who do you got, Spencer?
Well, I mean, this is Ohio State's last game without Urban Meyer, I definitely think that they're going to go out and they're going to give all they have. But I think this is definitely going to be Ohio State's football game to lose.
I'm going to say they definitely feel like their motto is almost it's them versus the world, just because of the whole Urban Meyer situation. And I think they think about the outside factors a little bit too much. I think they could slip up here. I think TCU wins the football game by 3.
Well, you're going to go with TCU. Like I said, I'm going with Ohio State. I do believe that this is going to be around a medium scoring game. I think this is going to be around a 35-28 game in favor of the Ohio State Buckeyes.
Okay, so we'll finish it off. Like we said, huge game this Thursday. Excuse me. Yeah, Thursday night football. We got Mauldin Maz taking on the Gaffney Indians. Huge game on the road, kickoff region play. Should be a really interesting one at one of the most famous high school football stadiums in the state of South Carolina, not just the upstate. The Reservation seats 8,200 fans. Built in 2008. How about this? $8 million to build that beautiful stadium. I cannot wait to get there. That's one of the things I'm most excited for. I don't think a hurricane can keep me out of that thing. It's just going to be that great. I can't wait. And it's going to be, like you said, really interesting to see what these running backs do from Gaffney. Dual running backs who really both run the ball effectively. Of course, we haven't seen them run the football yet, so we couldn't tell you which is power or speed. Or we couldn't tell you too many details. We're starting to watch our film ourselves. So, should be a really interesting one. I can't wait to kick off region play.
I think where we have the guy to look for in this game is Hunter Bullock. He's been quiet most of the season. He's a two-star tight end. I believe he's 56 in the state. Senior, he's actually committed to James Madison already. But on the season, he only has 11 receptions, and that's in 3 games. But I think that's kind of quiet for a two-star tight end. You're talking about one of the best tight ends in the state. I think he's definitely going to be one of the guys that they're going to look for, one of the guys that they're going to try and get the ball to early on this ball game, and see what he can do downfield, in the middle of the field. And I think he's going to be targeted a lot in this game.
That's why I'm really interested to see what Mauldin does with him defensively, because, yes, you can put a linebacker on him, but who linebacker? I'd love to see. Honestly, it would be pretty cool to see Sean Puckett guarding, but at the same time, we like seeing Sean Puckett rush the quarterback. So it's a really tough decision. I can't wait to see what Coach Neeson does.
Especially with his size, too, because when you look at Mauldin's defense, their secondary doesn't have anybody that could match up with him height-wise. He's 6'4" and 235 pounds. I mean, we're talking about this is a big kid. Who are you going to put on? I think, like you just mentioned, Sean Puckett, I think that would definitely be one of the ways to go, but you don't want to take that aspect away from the defensive line.
Yeah.
But I think looking at this quarterback, Andre Lindsey, he's definitely been quiet running the ball this season. Like we said, he's definitely going to be more of a pocket passer than he is going to be scrambling around the pocket, rolling out. So I expect to see Mauldin locking down this ground game. So Sean Puckett, Martin Millard, all those guys, I expect to see them blitzing a lot. I expect to see our 7 guys on the line a lot this game, trying to lock down this run game.
I'm going to say close down that pocket, especially for a pocket passer. And I think one of the biggest things is for me is Mauldin can really win this football game if they keep it close, because you look at the games they played, they won 27, 34-7, 56-7. They have not played in a close game that was down to the wire, and I'd really be interested to see. Of course, Joe Owens played in the Hillcrest game where he drove us all the way down the field, and yes, it didn't end the way he wanted to, but that's experience nonetheless. You have a sophomore quarterback over there, like you said, Andre Lindsey, who has not played in an intense game down to the wire, and this could be in the rain, at home for him, under the lights. You keep it a 1-score, 2-score football game into that fourth quarter, and I think you really get to see what kind of player we're dealing with in Lindsey. So, can't wait to see that one. We'll be out there Thursday night at the Reservation. But that'll do it here for Garage Talks, Episode 2. You'll see it here first, and don't forget to tune in. We'll have the link in our description for the Mauldin High School football game. Like I said, Gaffney versus Mauldin. Thank you for tuning in.
Dude, I like lost my breath and I got so hot. I just lost my phone. I don't know if we're.
Yeah, I caught that.
What's that?
Like you just like slowly started fading. I was like, oh, the Apple thing was today.
What Apple thing?
You know, they like always like have they announce all their new tech. I don't even know what it's called.